Well, now that the shop is quasi-clean and quasi-put together again after the mill restoration, I thought I would do a quick walk through the shop here and get everyone up to speed as to where things are at and what things look like. So, obviously, mill over in the corner there, and then we've got a little MIG-Pack 180 that does the majority of work for me when I'm welding billets, things like that. And then my old school jet drill press there, and just a rickety old welding bench that does the trick. This here is the forge that Travis and I have been working on, so another visit out and it should be done. It's well insulated, 2 inches of K-wool, some Castellite refractory on there, and it's still curing a bit, and we're going to hit that with some ITC coating on top of that. So that'll be in the next few days here, and hopefully next weekend we can get it all plumbed in. So frosty T-burners are going on there. We've got the control assembly ready to go, and we're going to use copper tubing to run up as lines to the burners there, which should work good, give it a bit of flash, which there's nothing wrong with. So then obviously the Kempsmith mill, we've got the decals on there, all painted up, white lettering's done, and I've done a few courses of oil on this. There's not too much for grease nipples or anything. It's mostly just straight oil, so I've got that worked in. It'll take a bit longer just to make sure everything's kind of pushed through and clean, but for the most part, we're in good shape. I'll show you the other side here. So then down in this little holder here, got some extra oil, some holders, tool holders, a few extra sprockets, and some extra gears on here to make some changes if I need to. The one thing with this mill is that because it's gone through quite a few alterations, the spindle speed is fairly low. I've got it clocked in at about 180 RPM on the fastest belt setting here, which is slow. So we've compensated by using some larger cutters here. This is, I think, 2 1/4 inch, which helps. But in terms of the versatility of this unit for what I'm using it for, it'll work good. You know, facing off, mild steel, some 1045 and wrought iron, it'll work incredibly well. But moving up into, let's say, copper or aluminum, where you're wanting to almost triple or quadruple that RPM speed for the cutter, it's just not going to do it. So it'll still be a workhorse for me, but it does have some limitations. So next to that, I've got what I used to think was a fairly large piece of equipment for a hobby shop until I got the mill, but this is an old Atlas lathe with a quick change gearbox on here. So I'm still running the old lamp style tool holder post, and at some point here I'll begrudgingly switch that over to a quick change. It's got a bit of backlash, and I think this tool post is a bit more problematic with that backlash than what a quick change would be. So we'll get that done up, but it still runs well. It's just, yeah, we got to get that tool post addressed here. So, and then my knockoff 4x4 inch bandsaw, which has done all of my heavy lifting in terms of cutting my 1045. My ransacked gas forge here, it's seen better days, but it still works all right. Then obviously a whole pile of belts, and then I've got tap and die sets, sharpening sets, drill bit kit, torch kit up top, gloves, all kinds of random stuff, and then just a workbench with some abrasive cutoff discs. And then at some point this will be a mandrel. It's on the to-do list. Hasn't happened in the last 2 years, so we'll give it another 2 and see what happens. Grinding station here. Hoping to get a VFD at some point here, or maybe just another standalone unit to help out. So that's kind of in the works. And if you're doing odds and ends, small 1x30, and then the buffing wheel here. So that's kind of my grinder station there, and then all kinds of odds and ends up top. And then into the blacksmith side of things. So random workbench, punches and chisels over here. You'll see I've got all kinds of wrought stage there to work on. Then obviously the forge, Minty the anvil. That's my coke box there. All my fuel is in there. My coffee table, or I guess end table to hold my beer. And finally my heavy vice table with a older guillotine tool that's kind of a single purpose now to do some set downs for the blacksmith knives that I do when I have classes out here. So I've got a piece of plate welded on there, but I do have a full set of dies for that unit. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So some larger tongs for the hammer billets. Then obviously for my general purpose forging, got some smaller tongs here, some flux. This is a wrought iron billet I've got staged. And good news, I'm actually going to get back to forging here this weekend. It's been way too long. And I've got something real special kind of in the mix for that one. So over the next maybe week or so here, I'm hoping to have a nice hammer finished up that's going to go south of the border to an incredibly patient customer. So that's the game plan this weekend. And yeah, that's the shop tour. So we'll keep you posted on the next run of rod hammers, which I'm getting back to, and we'll probably do another post or two on the completion of the forge build here. And at some point I'll do a good walkthrough of the mill, but I'm kind of milled out right now. So let's get back to forging. So forge on, and hope everyone has a safe long weekend.